wonderful YouTubers, welcome to my channel, Tiger Airs Rides. With the South Downs sprawling out in front of me, I'm going on to Butser Hill, just north of Portsmouth on the A3, or just off the A3 I should say. It's a glorious day. It's been waiting for this for nearly 2 weeks now. It's been nothing but rain and drizzle and just horrible weather, and I don't really like to take burnout on that. So I'm taking the opportunity today to get this footage in, get another video out. So enjoy the ride, but on the way I will also be doing a little history, and I do mean a little history because it's actually a huge company. I'm going to do a little history on Royal Enfield. I will pick and choose what I want to put in there, but hopefully I'll get the nuts and guts of it. What have I been up to this last week? Bit of babysitting again. I keep saying that every blooming video, but it's something I really enjoy doing, so hey, I don't mind. What else? Not a lot, to be honest with you. It's just been a case of tolerate the weather, do what you can with it, and have done. So what I'm going to do is just let you enjoy the ride, and I'll put the history in very shortly. When I was researching this, I had every intention of slimming this history down to its bare bones. However, like the best plans of mice and men, it didn't quite work out that way. So I will apologise if this goes on a bit, and I would like to thank my resource, the Royal Enfield Owners Club, for the excellent online information that I managed to find. It all started in 1891 when Bob Walker-Smith and Albert Eadie purchased a well-known needle manufacturer that had recently branched out into building bicycles, going on to win a contract to supply precision parts to the Royal Small Arms factory in Enfield, and in celebration of this the company is renamed the Enfield Manufacturing Company Limited. And in 1894 the company's bicycles are renamed Royal Enfields, and the trademark "made like a gun" is introduced and is still in use today. In 1898 the company's first motorised vehicle, a 1.5 horsepower quadricycle, is produced. With a Didion engine, the company's name is changed to the Enfield Cycle Limited, which continues to be used for the next 70 years. In 1900, Royal Enfield made their first recorded entry into motorsport, with one of its quadricycles taking part in the 1,000-mile trial. And come 1901, Royal Enfield produces its very first motorcycle, the motorbicycle, with a 1.5 horsepower Minerva engine mounted above the front wheel, driving the rear wheel via a twisted leather belt. In 1902, the first Royal Enfield motorcycle is updated with an Enfield engine of 239cc, producing 2.75 horsepower. The Enfield Motorcycle Company exhibits at the Stanley Show and displays 2 quadricycles and 1 tricycle and 3 different motorbicycles, one of which featured a 2.25 horsepower water-cooled engine that weighed 140 pounds and can reach top speed of, wait for it, 30 miles per hour. As early as 1903, Enfield introduces the water-cooled chain-driven model, and in 1909, Royal Enfield's first V-twin motorcycle is introduced. The lightweight, with a 297cc 2.5 horsepower engine from Swiss company Motosaco, which successfully competes in numerous competitions, including the John O'Groats to Land's End trial. Enfield fits in its own V-twin engine in later versions. In 1911, Royal Enfield came 5th in the Junior TT and saw success at the Brooklands racing circuit. Come 1913, the twins are joined by a 3 horsepower model with a 424cc Royal Enfield engine with overhead inlet valves and a dry sump lubrication system, and until World War I the big twins are supplied with a 770cc 6 horsepower Jap engine, and after World War I with a 976cc 8 horsepower Vickers-Wolseley engine. In 1914 a TT version of the 3 horsepower twin is added to the range, and again the firm enters the junior TT, but what success they have is soon wiped out by the tragedy when F.J. Walker comes third but crashes at the finish and later dies from his injuries. In that year the firm adds a 225 two-stroke 2-speed to the range, their very first 2-stroke engine machine. Lightweight and simple in design, the model has a long and successful lifespan. Throughout the war years, the firm builds a 6 horsepower model for service sidecar use. Some are fitted out as an ambulance, others with a Maxim machine gun. They also experiment with a 3-cylinder 675cc inline 2-stroke engine with a bevel box and a 2-speed gearbox, and rear wheel by chain. Civilian models return in 1919 with just 2 types available: the 6 horsepower Jap V-twin with an 8 horsepower engine option for working with a sidecar, and the 225 2-stroke as basic transport. In 1920 the factory develops an experimental 850cc 4-cylinder powered machine, and in 1924 Royal Enfield expands its range to 8 models, including the sports model 351, a 350cc overhead valve single, and a 225cc ladies model. Drum brakes are adopted and 3-speed gearboxes appear for the first time on road bikes. In 1925 the Redditch factory suffers from a massive fire, but the company's own fire brigade manages to handle the outbreak. In 1926 a 3.44 horsepower model wins the South African TT, and in 1928 Royal Enfield adopts the centre sprung girder forks with a saddle fuel tank to replace the older flat tank designs. Some of the models now have 4-speed gearboxes, and Royal Enfield achieves TT success when Cecil Barrow comes second in the lightweight class, and plus other entrants are mounted on Royal Enfields, such as G.L. Reynard. In 1929 a group of 4 riders from Stockholm to Cape Town and back on a pair of Royal Enfield 182 combination outfits. In 1930 the model range expands again with a variety of 2-stroke and 4-stroke machines, including the 350cc and 500cc side valve and overhead valve machines, and the K model 976cc V-twin. In 1932 the very first Royal Enfield Bullet single is introduced in 250, 350 and 500cc form, with exposed 4-valve rockers and inclined cylinder. In the same year the Enfield Cycle Company starts to produce a range of motor mowers with 98cc, 148cc and 225cc capacity engines. The Model Z Zycar with a fully enclosed engine and leg shields is introduced, aimed at the commuter market. In 1936 the 500cc Model J is redesigned as the Model JF with a 4-valve cylinder head, and a high performance sports version is available by special order. In 1939 to 1945 Royal Enfield concentrates on war production, and although I can find no record of the numbers of bikes that were put across to the military, it is thought that they supplied numbers into the thousands, but not only of motorcycles, which included the 250cc, 350cc and 570cc overhead valve and SV bikes, and of course the famous Flying Flea, which was a parachute dropped 125cc 2-stroke, but also bicycles, generators and other equipment. The factory had its own Home Guard unit, mounted of course on Royal Enfield motorcycles. Post-war the 350cc Royal Enfield with oil-damped swinging arm rear suspension takes part in the Colmore Cup trial, and 2 of them in the international 6 days trial held in Italy. Both their riders win gold medals, the start of a long association of Royal Enfields and trials. 1949 saw the new 350cc Bullet models launched in the UK in road trials or scrambler trim. In the same year, Madras Motors is founded in India to import British motorcycles into India, and in 1950 Royal Enfield staff take a continental tour on their bikes, visiting French and Swiss dealers. The factory acquires new delivery vehicles, and Mr. T. Schifferly completes a 3,000-mile tour of Spain in a Royal Enfield 125. And in 1952, Johnny Britton wins the Scottish 6-day trial on a Royal Enfield 350cc Bullet in the same year. The Redditch factory receives an order via Madras Motors for 500 350cc Bullets for the Indian Army. In 1955, Enfield India is formed as a partnership between Royal Enfield and Madras Motors. A new factory is constructed near Madras, and an agreement is signed with the India Company of America and J. Brookhouse to build Indian-named Royal Enfield motorcycles. And in 1956, the new Enfield India factory is opened and starts producing the Royal Enfield Bullet under license. Building starts with kits shipped from the Redditch factory, and in the same year the Enfield Cycle Company ceases production of motor mowers. In 1958 the airflow fairing is introduced with great success, and then in 1964 the Continental GT Cafe Racer is launched and ridden from the John O'Groats to Land's End in under 24 hours, and this included 8 laps of the Silverstone racing circuit. And in 1964 a modified Royal Enfield Meteor Minor Sports appears in an episode of the Avengers TV series with Honor Blackman, who was a dispatch rider during World War II and thus eminently qualified. On June the 27th, 1966, a letter stating that Redditch site will be closing was sent to all employees. And in 1967, the Royal Enfield range is reduced to 2 models, the 250cc Continental GT and the 736 Interceptor. And so the Redditch factory closes, but production of the Interceptor continues at the company's facility near Bradford upon Avon. In June 1970, the last Royal Enfield motorcycle production run ceases when the Bradford upon Avon facility closes. So production in India started in 1956 and finished in the UK in 1977. So there was no break in production under the Royal Enfield name, which is why Royal Enfield are known to be the longest lived motorcycle company in the world, with constant production from 1901 to the current day. Most of my audience will have been riding for a long time and very familiar with the Royal Enfield mark, and today Royal Enfield are still producing excellent quality bikes which, despite their low price, are more than able to take their stand alongside the ultra expensive models. A mix of style, nostalgia, power, build quality and affordability make Royal Enfield one of the best selling makes in modern times. In an arena where only the strongest survive, and in my family we have 2 classic 350s, 1 Interceptor 650 and a Super Meteor 650, and I'm sure that number is probably going to grow. Well, that's the history for the Royal Enfield Motorcycle Company. I hope you enjoyed it. I did cut out a lot of latter day information to keep this short, but the rest, as they say, is history, and it's all online should you want to know more.
This is the final approach to Butser Hill. I hope you enjoyed the Royal Enfield history. As I say, it was only going to be a short one. If I wanted to do the whole history, I'd have been here all day. I'm going to have my tuna roll and my cup of coffee up here. I expect the cafe is closed. It has been for a long time now and only open on the weekends, because the chap who runs the place has been off from an operation and his daughters have been operating the cafe for the weekends. So I came armed and ready with my roll and my coffee, and enjoy the view up here, which is glorious. So I'm going to love and leave you, and I will see you sometime next week. That's the ticket. Well, this is new. Have to go all the way around the car park just to get back out, because I'm going up to the cafe and take my bike up there, because there's no way I'm leaving it here unguarded. So it looks like fairly busy, which is nice. Hopefully there'll be a seat. If not, I'll be using the bike. So enjoy the rest of your week, people, and I will see you next week. Until then, stay safe and get home safe. Thank you.